Today I fucked up by leaving our cleanup towel on the floor. Okay, so a few pieces of background info. 1. This story happened several years ago with my ex-GF. 2. My ex has asthma, so in her room she had this machine that removes dust from the air. Kind of like a dehumidifier but for dust. This will all make sense soon. So, my ex-GF and I were in college at the time, and on the weekends we would usually stay at her parents' house. Her room was on the opposite side of the house than theirs, so as long as it was late at night, early in the morning, we usually had a lot of privacy, and her parents knew what was up and left us alone for the most part. So one morning we do our thing as usual. Afterwards we saw that the towel she used to dry off after her shower the night before is laying right next to the bed. So we use that to clean up and then throw in back on the floor for the time being. A few minutes pass and we are still laying in bed lazily, and her mom knocks on the door and we tell her to come in. No big deal, we were still under the covers and everything. But then she asks my ex if she had cleaned out her dust machine any time recently, to which she replies no. You might be able to see where this is going now. She picks up the cum towel and starts walking over to the dust machine. My ex and I are frozen solid and don't know what to do. Of course part of me wants to scream for her to put it down, but I don't. She starts cleaning the machine and then after a few seconds just goes, "What's all over this? Ah, and throws it on the ground and runs out of the room. My ex and I wanted to die. Nothing was ever spoken of this incident. Too long did not read. My ex and I threw our cum towel on the ground and later her mom tried to use it to clean something, promptly realized what it was, and left the room screaming. Daughter and her boyfriend are lying on the bed together. What better time to come in and clean the dust machine with the random towel found beside the bed on the floor? Who in their right mind invites their parent into the room when they're both naked under the sheet after sex? Moral of the story: if you find a random sock or towel in a bedroom, just leave it alone. Someone's lacking common sense. But you could at least say, "Hey, that's okay, we will clean the machine ourselves." It's called an air filter BTW. This is very strange behavior for a parent? Or is this just something cultural I am unaware of? Why is her mom coming over to her room at some random time of day to clean a fan filter? And why didn't she have a clear plan for how to clean it? What would have happened had there not been a towel on the floor? Why did mom even pick up a dirty towel from the door to clean the dust filter on her asthmatic daughter's fan? Many questions on this one, but I admit I only have my limited experiences and perspective to base opinions off of. Anyone in the comments have a parent that would do something like this? Today I fucked up by leaving too early from a ED test. This happened yesterday. And if you're wondering what ED stands for, it's erectile dysfunction. I am an older gentleman in his mid-50s. After losing my wife, I found someone I wanted to intimate with. But I was having a bit of an issue. She has been supportive. She's flat out told me that while intercourse would fine, what we've been doing has been very good for her. But I decided to be an adult and see a professional. The initial consult with a NP was try Cialis and see how it goes. It gave me such a headache it made it difficult to focus on anything else and then didn't even really work. So I went back for suggestions on my next steps. The NP said we should see if there is any physiological problems and said, let's have the doctor do an ultrasound. And then they said, hey, guess what, we have a cancellation today. Come back in a couple of hours and we'll do it. Great. I come back without really having any time to look into what was involved. But I can usually go with the flow. I'm told to strip from the waist down and lay on the exam table. The doctor comes in and says I'm going to measure the blood flow, but you have to had an erection. That's what this shot it for. Maybe it was a good thing not to have researched any of this. The shot wasn't too bad. Just a bad pinch. The doctor says give yourself some self-stimulation. Nobody else is going to come in here, I'll be back in 15 minutes. The exam room is right across from the nurses' station, and so I just hear the female nurses muffled talking and laughing out in the hall, which is a little distracting. But no matter, the shot is working. I'm hard like a teenager, to the point where it starts to hurt just a bit. My girlfriend knew what going on, and of course I texted the whole "I wish you were here" joke and included a picture. Ha ha, everyone's having fun. Doctor comes in and says, hey, good news, it looks like you could have sex with that. Ha ha. He measures the blood flow and says physically there's nothing wrong with me. It must be time to find a therapist. Okay, I think, good to know. He says I'm going to leave you alone for 15 minutes and my erection should go down. Great. French accent, 15 minutes later. I'm harder than before. And Jesus Christ, it hurts. He comes in again and he looks at me, squeezes my dick twice like he's testing barbecue tongs. He says this is good news, I can get hard and stay that way. I ask, what now? Doctor says not a problem. There's another shot to make it go away. You weren't really expecting this today, were you? No, I was not. Another 15 minutes later and it still feels like my dick is being crushed. He gives me the shot. 30 seconds later the pressure eases. Praise Jeebus. He leaves and comes back. FYI, every time he opens the door I can see the nurse's station. He's discreet and quick with the door, but it's still a little unnerving. He asks how I'm doing. I said that I was lightheaded. I found that out when I went to grab my phone to let my girlfriend what was up. Ha ha, more dick humor. Doctor says for me to take my time and the nurse will come back to check on me. I feel well enough to get dressed and my dick is at half-mast. When the nurse comes in I say I'm fine and I'll get going. She says okay and guides me through the mouse maze to the lobby. I get into the car and start my 30-minute drive home. I'm still very achy but I think I'll be okay. About 20 minutes later, I hit the gas station. When I get out of the car I bump my full erect dick on the car door. It's tenting my basketball shorts like I'm waiting for my turn in a gangbang porno. The ache is getting worse again. Motherfucker. But I really need gas, so I have to pump. I try to act as inconspicuous as possible and finish refueling. I get back into the car. I look at my watch and remember that the doctor said an erection of 4 hours is bad. I'm on coming up on hour 2. I'm debating my options. 3 hospitals are nearby. One off the highway, one near my house, and one back by the doctor's office I came from. My girlfriend is not close and I can't ask for her help. How the fuck would I explain to my kids about the trip to an I text my girlfriend and tell her I'm going back to the doctor's office. I walk into the lobby trying desperately to hide my boner. There are 5 people waiting to talk to 2 receptionists. So I get in line. I walk up there and explain that had an earlier appointment and had just left. But I need to see the doctor again because of an issue. I go have a seat. Another nurse comes to get me and leads back to a room. The room next to the one I was in before, so still right across from the nurse's station. She asks what's up and I say, my erection is back. Nurse leaves. The doctor comes in and is like, it's back huh? Let's see. So I pull my shorts down and he does the barbecue tongs squeeze again. I say, I'd like another shot of antidote please. He says he'll get it ready and that the female NP I saw in the morning is going to come in and check on me. I lay down on the exam table and she comes in. And jokes about how's my unexpected day is going. She asks if she can look. Barbecue tongs. She tells me I'll be okay. Doctor come back in and ask which side of my dick did he give me the shot the last time. Luckily I remember. He picks the opposite side and gives me the shot. By this time I've had a hard-on for over 2.5 hours. But this shot starts to work quickly and effectively. In about a minute I look like a stretched-out deflated balloon. Both the doctor and NP come in to check on me, but instead of barbecue tongs it's the "is it still alive?" poke with the index finger. I feel like tenderized meat and I'm also feeling lightheaded from the shot. It really messes with the blood pressure as you can imagine. They give me an ice pack. I take my time this time around. I call my girlfriend and let her know that, huzzah, I'm not losing my penis. She consoles me like the dream of a woman that she is. I go home, order pizza for my kids and slink off to the bedroom to lie down and rest. Too long did not read. Got a penile blood flow ultrasound and left before my erection went away fully. I died at the barbecue tongs analogy. Great story and glad you're okay. Is it still alive? Yeah, but I'm not skull. I'm glad you're okay lol. The best part about this read, and it was about as hard as his Johnson to pick one, was the fact that this middle-aged man used a SpongeBob reference. Grats on the dick and sense of humor though, you keep on keeping on. Sometimes our brains and bodies don't match after the emotional loss of a partner. As a woman, I also had performance issues after my fiancé died. Nothing physical, all emotional. Sounds like you have a great new partner though, so keep her and keep your sense of humor. Congrats on your dick. Open mouth smile. 35 female, work in healthcare. I've seen a patient who waited 2 days to come to the emergency room to let someone know his hard-on won't go away. 2 days. I'm surprised it didn't fall off. Big yikes lol. Thank you for telling your story, sir, it was a great read. I'm glad the doctor was able to help you out. I'm never going to think about barbecue tongs the same way. Today I fucked up by telling someone I'm training to not assume gender roles. I work in industrial sales and I was helping a trainee on the phone with a sales call. This customer asked for a spline shaft for a piece of farming equipment. The trainee did what he was supposed to, checked our stockroom, we had it. He comes back and tells the customer we have it. The customer asked if it's a male or female. Male meaning sticking out, female meaning a hole for the male end to go into. The trainee, not knowing the answer, asked me if it was male or female. I jokingly said, "Well, we can't assume anything anymore. Let's go ask the shaft." He repeated that to the customer without realizing what he was saying. The customer was outraged, screaming on the phone outraged, and we ended up losing the sale. I also don't have a trainee anymore, so losing out on the additional money for that. TLDR told trainee to not assume gender roles on a non-existing object. I don't have a trainee anymore. Edit. The trainee did not lose his job. My manager was understanding that a new guy in his first job on a phone can be intimidated. I will no longer be training him. This is hilarious. I fucked up once by telling a receptionist at a vet clinic I worked at that chickens could indeed be declawed after she asked me if it could be done. I figured by my sarcasm and other employees laughing that she understood I was not serious. Fast forward 2 years and I straight up hear her tell a client on the phone, "Yes. Chickens can be declawed." I am frantically waving at her and mouthing no. Luckily the client thought she was joking and no harm was had. Edit. This was years ago when I was very young. I was trying to mess with her, not educate her. We didn't see chickens anyway. Edit 2. I am ashamed I missed the opportunity for no harm no foul. Did kind of the same thing one time. Receptionist asked me if we had a certain part in stock. I says no, it'll take a while to get in. Receptionist tells the customer ask for more specific time and I yelled, "Second Tuesday of next week for sure." She turned around and repeated it verbatim. Sorry, but LMAO. If I were that customer I'd have been so confused. Then probably laughed, and simply asked again. Tone also makes a difference. Did the trainee state it like fact or also repeat it jokingly? Okay, but if you're selling male and female pieces, that question is gonna pop a lot of times. Lol. That's hilarious. Too bad no one else got it except, maybe, the manager that didn't fire you. Today I fucked up by popping vitamin C tablets like they were Skittles. This is a throwaway. I have never told anybody I know about this and never will. Obligatory. This didn't happen today but actually over 15 years ago. I was 8 years old in primary school and still sharing the bed with my mum when I stayed with her. She worked 3 jobs so I spent a lot of time at my grandparents' house instead. My mum was always big on healthy living and vitamin supplements etc. I used to have cod liver oil daily etc. But one thing that we always did together is we each took one of those orange-flavored vitamin C tablets every day. This was a highlight for me because these tablets were delicious. They were in a cabinet in the kitchen that was too high for me to reach from the floor normally, but I could reach the handle if climbed on the counter. One day when left unattended, she was probably in the garden IDK. I decided that it was my time to raid the cabinet, and once I got in there I ate every single tablet in the pack. Must have been about 10. Don't remember how I planned to conceal this the next day, but I was a child and therefore consequences don't exist until they happen. The day continued as normal. I bathed and went to bed. We had a family friend staying over at the time who was slept in the other room. But he's not really a character in this story, just an observer. I'll never forget this feeling. I woke up what must have been half an hour later, and before I've opened my eyes I notice that I feel sort of wet, like I'd been rolling around in mud. I shifted my hand slightly and noticed that I felt something squishy in my hand, and I for some reason wiped my hand across my forehead as I finally opened my eyes. I was covered in shit. My shifting woke my mum up. She has since told me that as she woke she felt something wet and squishy all over her back, and she got up and turned the lights on. There was shit everywhere. I had pooed all over the bed in my sleep. With my mum in it. The commotion woke up the family friend who of course observed that we were both covered in shit. My mum balled up the bedding and binned it and then basically scrubbed me clean in a bath filled with Dettol. She was obviously angry and concerned, so I confessed that I'd eaten all the vitamin tablets, not really sure how I worked out this caused all the mess in hindsight. I was put back to bed while I assume she cleaned herself up. And then the next day, there was hell to pay. TLR, I ate a bunch of vitamin C tablets that tasted like a sugary orange rainbow. went to bed and had violent diarrhea in my sleep while my mum slept next to me. Essence of citrus. I used to love these Flintstone multivitamin tablets, but my mom told me if I ate more than one I would die. Anything my mom didn't want me to do would supposedly end up killing me. In high school, I finally realized she was lying, so I ate a whole bunch one day. My piss was nuclear yellow for the rest day, it was almost glowing. Way better than shitting yourself. My sister once drank my grandfather's half a bottle of cough syrup. She replaced the missing quantity with water, and slept for like 25 hours straight. Now she is a MD, and we jokingly say that it was due to her keen interest in medicine from a young age that she is a doctor. I didn't realize vitamin C gave you the shits. I've always heard that Linus Pauling, Nobel chemist, was obsessed with it and gave himself increasingly higher dosages and monitored how much went in and out. Is it possible the vitamin gummies were sugar-free? Some artificial sweeteners can have that effect. Reminds me of the days my lemon trees produced lemon during quarantine and I had so much lemons. Usually I pass them to friends or trade them with neighbors. I was using them on food and lemonade to drink every day. After a week or so I had the same results. And I had to stay off of vitamin C or consume as little as possible for like a month. Fun times. A mom in the Beverly Hills area would pay you $3,000 a session for this knowledge.